And now for more on this, we're being joined by Mr. Krishnendu Chatterjee, a VP BFSI Vertical Team Lease Services Limited from Bengaluru. Welcome to World Business Watch, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show.
Sir, now, of course, we've touched on this in our report as well, but I want to get your thoughts on this. What are some of the key factors driving India's microfinance surge, and how sustainable is this growth trajectory?
Well, if you look at the whole microfinancing landscape in India, the whole the aspiration for India to become the third largest economy in next few years, becoming a 5 trillion and then $10 trillion economy. Financial inclusiveness and growth in the whole borrowing sector is an important factor, and I guess that is where the whole microfinancing thing comes into play. Now, it has been driven by a lot of factors. Of course, the first factor being the Microfinancing Regulation Act, which was introduced in 2012, followed by various government initiatives like the Jan Dhan Yojana, the direct debit facility, etc., has created that the ecosystem where microfinancing has grown over a period of time. If you look at India's the whole microfinancing, the informal microfinancing has always been around, with the self-help groups or people taking money from sahukars. What government has done is that it has kind of regulated and formulated the whole microfinancing scene, which kind of creates a safeguard for the borrowers and to some extent also to the microfinancing companies. And with that kind of an ecosystem, the whole microfinancing thing has kind of busted, and it has now kind of growing largely in the sectors which were kind of unbanked or the far-flung parts of the country.
Now, sir, just to expand on that and for better understanding here, the role of India's digital infrastructure, fintech partnerships, that's been emphasized. So could you elaborate on some specific examples of how these innovations are transforming the microfinance landscape here then?
Well, I think, the whole digital infrastructure in India has driven the whole, the microfinancing ecosystem. If you look at, India's smartphone penetration from 2013 to, now, so in 2013, we were at about 12-13% of our population which had smartphones. Today, it is at about 55-60%. And, probably by end of, this fiscal or maybe by next, we will cross 1 billion, individuals with smartphone. Now, that has a direct relationship, towards the growth of the whole financial services in the remote or undeserved areas. So, mobile banking, digital payment platform, etc., has in fact enabled the microfinancing institutions to reach the clients which are in the rural, semi-urban areas more effectively, and thus has reduced the barriers related to the physical distance, because banks can't go everywhere, right? But then thanks to the digital infrastructure, now the banks, NBFCs and various MFIs can reach to the farthest part of the country.
Right, so now also talking about barriers, of course, financial literacy, that's crucial for both borrowers as well as potential entrepreneurs. So how can microfinance institutions play a role in fostering a startup ecosystem?
Well, when we think of a startup, we always think of, unicorns and large companies. But if you look at a startup, a woman who wants to start a tea stall in his small village, or, an individual wants to open a vegetable shop is also like a startup, right? And what MFIs have done is that, so MFIs as an organization, while they are a profit organization, they are also there to create a social impact, because, as I mentioned in the past, the whole borrowing, lending thing has been happening in India since ages, but they were largely informal, done by maybe, the local sahukars or local, the rich individual who lends money. So there was no ambit of social impact towards, the growth of an individual. It was largely a transactional business. But with MFIs coming in, they have also created a social impact, which includes, the education to the borrowers on how towards financial literacy, how much to be borrowed, how much to be repaid. Earlier, because these were highly regulated, the collection process used to be extremely physical in nature. We used to hear a lot of news of, people committing suicide or whatever, because of those small borrowings. So with these MFIs, that social impact which they have created with the financial literacy has actually helped people. Now they are much more informed, and also RBI plays an important role, from a whole regulation perspective, so that to ensure that the interests of the borrowers are also well guarded.
All right. Okay. Well, Mr. Chatterjee, thank you so much for joining us on World Business Watch with your insights. It's been an enriching discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.